viewers and welcome to Reality of Life Enlightenment TV talk show. I'm Tayo Akobi. Today we'll be examining the causes and a strategy to reduce teenage pregnancy in our society. I have a leading voice in medical field who will be throwing more light into this topic. Welcome Mrs. Kanta Patel, consultant midwife in public health and supervisor of midwives.
Hello.
And also with me, Janet Pado, teenage pregnancy specialist midwife.
Hello.
Hello. Kanta, what is teenage pregnancy?
Teenage pregnancy is any young mother under the age of 20 getting pregnant, and this is of concern to us. If you're under 18, it's more of a health risk than if you're 20. However, we consider teenage pregnancy in UK if you're under 20.
Janet.
Yes, that's the correct definition. So any mom, any young woman who's pregnant below the age of 19 should be considered a teenage mom.
So, okay, let's try and look at the causes of teenage pregnancy or the effects of teenage pregnancy in our society.
Okay. For the individual mother, if you're young and pregnant, for you yourself, because you're not fully developed as yet, there is a higher risk of you not feeling well in your pregnancy. You are more likely to be sort of not eating very well if you're a young mother, and so your health is affected by that. More importantly is your baby. Yeah, we are really concerned about the unborn child. The unborn child is at risk of being born with much earlier than they should be born, which is a medical risk for that child, and they also have a low birth weight. And this is of concern because as they grow into adult, they will have a disadvantage similar to what the parents or the young mother is going through herself.
Well, most young moms are still growing and developing. At the age of 15, 14, they're still developing themselves. So having to develop a baby, and then they've got high risks of medical complications, things like high blood pressure, having a baby that is maybe growing slightly too much for them to be, for their bodies to be able to cope with that. So that's all the risks associated with the pregnancy that is putting a strain on a body that's still developing and still growing.
So how can we help them?
I mean, it's not just important for the mother, but the family is also affected by this young person becoming pregnant, and there's a stigma attached to it. This can lead to things like depression and mental illness, which is of concern to the family members as well as the society. Has a big impact on society because these are children and they should really be in education rather than, having a family themselves when they are children themselves. So it has an impact on the family as well as the society because, society would like to advance our children into have the aspiration. So it has effect on not just the mother, but the family, but as well as the society. So it has a lot of effect of having a young mother who is pregnant.
Often find difficulties, first of all, disclosing that they're pregnant and all the fears that go along with it. So they often kind of like come late. They don't access maternity services early, which means that there already is a disadvantage as to any screening tests, any kind of advice that we could give them early. So they're one of the things that, physically that would be affecting the young moms. Poor attendance at school, if they're not, normally pregnancy associated things like, sickness, like vomiting and things like that. They've got to endure all of that while they're still having to attend school and still maybe be able to keep up with their schoolwork and stuff like that. So it can become quite difficult, and all you can do is kind of maybe trying to support them at that period of time.
We should try to support them at that period of time. So who is actually responsible for the support? Is there a government support or hospital support or family support?
But there's There's varied. I mean, some parents, some families are supportive, but some mums may not have a close network of family. Some might be living on their own, or like 18-year-olds sometimes not in education, so they see maybe pregnancy as a way out. It's difficult. There are different reasons why young mums get pregnant, but it's probably all of our society to support. It's our responsibility to support young mums. Once they're already pregnant, what we need to be aiming to is trying to reduce the incidences of pregnancies. What we need to try to do is educate them early enough so that they actually make the choice to not be pregnant and to maybe continue with education and have a better outcome in life for themselves, rather than seeing pregnancy as a way out.
75% of pregnancy is not planned. So clearly these young people did not intend to get pregnant. And therefore, in terms of responsibility, parents have a big responsibility in taking interest in their children. And children are made to feel wanted and respected. So as parents, we take big responsibility. Society as a whole also takes big responsibility. There needs to be activities for young people to keep themselves busy with either education, other extra activities out of education, so they don't go into things like drugs and alcohol, because drugs, alcohol, sexually transmitted disease is very high in young people. And therefore, society also has a role to play to ensure that young people have services to that they can attend to spend some more time, rather than thinking about let's have sex, because having sex not only spreads sexual transmitted diseases,
that's true,
but it has a chance of young person becoming pregnant. And what normally happens is that young people, young girls especially, think if I get pregnant, I will be able to have that partner to be my partner. And normally what happens is that young boys get very frightened and they leave that young child.
When it comes to pregnancy.
When it comes to pregnancy, she is left on her own, which is really sad. We need to engage her partner once she becomes pregnant. And within maternity services, fathers are important too. So if you are a young man and have made somebody pregnant, please support that person, because it's very important that she needs even more help. More importantly, your baby will need a father too, not just mother. And a plea to the parents, please support these young people. They are still growing and developing.
The situation whereby there's no father.
Well, it's difficult if there is no father. It's you mean like father of the baby?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, there's always a father. It's just that maybe the young person doesn't want to disclose who the father is, or maybe it's been a casual relationship, and they've had sexual intercourse under the influence of alcohol, and they may not necessarily know who the father is. But at that stage is the network, the family that can support the young mum. And then also we've got other services that we have within the NHS, within different environments, like in Haringey, for example, we've got Family Nurse Partnership that can support them. And in Enfield we've got Young Parents Project, which supports young mums. And because once the young mum has decided to continue with the pregnancy, it's our responsibility to try to support her, because we've got a new life that's going to be coming into the world, and we need to try to do the best that we can for that for that newborn baby and that young mum.
And the local council or the local government or the authority, depends where you live, have lots of services for young parents and young mothers who are pregnant.
When can a parent introduce sex education?
Well, we're seeing young pregnant mums at about 13, so I think you need to be trying to target, I would say from about 12, 11, 12. I think they should be aware of how to protect themselves, what to do, how to negotiate and actually delay that first sexual encounter, so that they're they don't have that peer pressure that would end up at sometimes, you know, like with a pregnancy, because often they think, well, I've only done it once, you know, I'm not going to get pregnant. So it's that myth that they have, and so they need to know, they need to be fully aware of how your body works, and what is the possibility that you might end up pregnant with just that first encounter, which is often kind of like, you know, a testing thing, you know.
So the first time is always testing.
Yes.
So they want to go back.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, the message really for young girls,
Okay.
you know, the peer pressure, we understand there are peer pressure on you, but you have to be confident and have your self-esteem and say no. Yeah, because there are other things you should be doing rather than having experimental, you know,
With your body.
Your body is precious, and they need to value your body. Yeah. So please don't go and have experiment. You can do other things, but you know, you don't want to risk of becoming a young mother.
Let's also try and look at the family role in pregnancy.
For parents, it's very important that they play an active role, and they need to have an open dialogue with their children. So that the children feel confident to discuss any issues that may come in their life. You know, being at that teenage years is a challenge, and we appreciate that. We've all gone through that challenge.
Exactly.
And the more open the family is and more supportive the environment is, your child is more likely to talk to you about any challenges they may have, or they wish to discuss any issues with them.
It's quite important also that they have good knowledge of how your body works and what risks you're entering in when you have a sexual relationship, and what they can do to prevent pregnancy and prevent any other things like sexually transmitted diseases. So it's having that early dialogue with parents and children, and that, as Kanta said, you know, that if the youngsters feel confident enough to be able to discuss things openly with their parents, then they'll feel at ease bringing up any issues that they might feel under pressure at school, or they might feel that you know, they need to experiment, and so you know, parents will be able to guide them then as to what is the right thing to do.
And when the young person becomes pregnant, it is very important that they do need both mother and father's support, as well as their partner. You know, the gentleman in their life who has, who is the father. Yeah. So it's important that they continue providing support, and it's daunting, you know, coming into health services, maternity services. When you're young, you are frightened because you don't know what's going to happen to you. And the message is, don't be frightened. As midwives, we are here to support you. And please, you know, as parents, come along with your daughter so that she gets the confidence to present. It is very important that during your pregnancy, you attend all your appointments, because when you're young, you are at higher risk of, things going wrong with you and your baby. And we are here to support you and to develop your knowledge base so that you are ready to be a parent yourself.